Hello again, everybody. And today, for my chats with Sonia, I'm very blessed and privileged to be joined by none other than Manoj, my wonderful yoga teacher here in Malaysia for 20 years. He, together with his wife Sanja, founded the Manasa Yoga School. So, welcome, Manoj. Nice to see you.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much, Sonia, for bringing me to this.
What an absolute pleasure to see you and be able to connect to you at a time like this when we're all separated.
Yes.
Yeah. So just to give people a little bit of a background there, I said that I arrived in Malaysia at a similar time to you. That's coming up to 20 years ago now. Maybe you could just tell people why you came to Malaysia and then what actually happened with your venture into yoga.
Yes. I've been always into yoga from childhood, but I never thought I'll make that my profession. So academically, I was doing this accounting specialized courses, and on the basis of which I got a job in Malaysia as an accountant kind of thing. So it is on that basis that I actually came to Malaysia. So, and actually it is very this is like a funny story behind it. This particular boss of the Malaysian company, he was in Kerala, my hometown in India, and I didn't know him at all. So he, by mistake, came to my house. He was looking for someone else. They thought it's my house. They came in, and I was in this sarong kind of thing, and but anyway, I welcomed him and made him sit down, and just we had a chat. That's all which happened. But somehow he asked me what I do, and I told him I just finished a course and looking for a job. Somehow he had a thing for me, and later his people contacted me and saying that he's one of the big bosses of one of the companies here, and he would like to give you a chance. And so that's how I came to Malaysia, by chance, totally.
Do you know what? I need his name, because you coming to Malaysia has changed certainly my performance life here.
Yeah, he is Tan Sri Nyanalingam. He was owner of Westport,
Yeah. So I remember you talking a little bit about your job when you first came, that you were very grateful to have it, but you found that your most fulfilling time was on a Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, when you used to take a yoga class at the beautiful Temple of Fine Arts.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So, I had the accountant certification, and I started the job. They gave me a house, car, everything was good, but there was kind of an emptiness, and every time so these offices are in shop lots, right? So when I pass through, I see empty shop lots, a space. I somehow get drawn to go stand there, and I can see students, and I feel something there. I feel like awake, and then in the office, like I'm just not feeling that energy coming up, So I knew I couldn't continue like that. I was grateful that I was in Malaysia, accommodation, everything taken care, and then I got this chance to teach at this Temple of Fine Arts Saturday morning, 6 a.m. and no charges or anything, but purely for me, for connecting back to that.
Isn't that interesting when people will think you're doing it for them, but also for you? That's what I find. Yes, that's what I find in my teaching. And one of the first things I was drawn to do when we were shut down was to make sure I reached out to my students and we worked on some projects together.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, Sonia. Yeah. So we are equally grateful to the student community, because they enrich us. They help us connect to something very dear to us, that teaching part we need.
Got goosebumps.
Yeah.
So actually I was lucky to be one of those first group of students. You used to come and travel all the way into the city, and you started with a few of us from MPO. So I'm very grateful to be one of your very first students Yeah.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
a very fond group of students here.
Yeah. So, it's interesting to hear your story of why you're here, and people who are listening are probably like, why is she talking to her yoga teacher? She's been talking to flute players. Well, recently in some of the chats I've been doing, the same questions have come up when students or young professionals talk to me, and they're questions that directly relate to yoga philosophy, actually.
Okay.
So I heard those questions just again a week or so ago, and I'm like, Manoj, go to the source. So those two questions are, what can we do about performance anxiety? People getting scared on stage. That's a
Oh,
big question people ask somebody
okay.
like me because
Yeah.
I'm doing it all the time.
Yeah.
The other question, because I'm a flute player, they ask about breath control and breath capacity. So I teach them what I know, which has come from your beautiful schooling, which is the other side of yoga, rather than just people thinking it's physical, what we call in the school mat practice.
Yes.
Yoga is way more than that. And I
Yes.
guess when we're talking about breath work, there's a particular branch of yoga called pranayama,
Yes.
which you've schooled me in, one of the 8 limbs. So I
Yeah.
was hoping that you could give them your direct knowledge on that today. So, yeah, like I said, rather than just physical, what I've learned from you and really helps is there's anatomy study, there's philosophy, there's breath, there's meditation, there's awareness, there's observation. So I wish I could give that all to everybody, but today we just focus on breathwork pranayama. So could you tell us what the word pranayama means in yoga school and to you in particular?
Sure. So, in the first place, I'm so happy that you are connecting. You've always connected to all these different aspects. Yeah, because we put it all together on the mat. So while people are doing the stuff on the mat, we layer in all these different branches of knowledge you're talking about: the anatomy, the awareness, the breath. And many times people, they hear but they don't really listen. So they get caught up only in that shape movement, and that's it. So at the end of the class, it remains as just that physical exercise class. So it always gladdens me so much to know that people are, like connecting to all this talk we layer in through the classes. So now coming to your question, you put in two inquiries there. One is regarding fear or kind of a performance anxiety,
Mm.
and the other one was pertaining to pranayama and how we can link these two, right?
Mm. Mm.
Okay, so fear or fright is we have to bring in a little bit of this brain anatomy into that. Okay, um, so when you're about to do anything, and a part of the brain which is called amygdala, that that actually can drive us nuts. It's shaped like a nut, and it can drive us nuts. So that is set up by the system to perceive a threat. And so if you're thinking of performing, and we have areas in the brain which kind of envisages and all those kind of stuff. That is the prefrontal cortex. So as it envisages giving this performance, this amygdala can detect a threat even in your mental imagination of it. It will say something like, what if the audience don't like it? Or what if I forget my note? What if I fall out of, yeah, that is triggered off by the amygdala. And then we tend to get completely sucked into that. And amygdala has control over our breathing and over our endocrine system. So very soon your body starts to secrete hormones, and these flow through your bloodstream into all the cells of you. You start to feel sick. Okay, it's like a nauseous feeling. So that's all this cortisol and such stuff going into your cells. Every cell want to puke.
Yeah.
but they can't. But they can't. So we sweat, we are feeling feverish. This is all the work of that particular structure. Now,
And interestingly, what I reassure my students when they come to me with that question is that this is just what the body is doing, because they think there's something wrong with them
yeah,
if they're
exactly.
feeling like this. And that's not the case at all.
No,
It's about learning what your body is doing
exactly,
to
exactly,
protect you. But that's
exactly.
not enough.
Yeah, yes, it is just not. That time we have to kind of tell the body you don't need that response. This is good. The body is thinking that's a big danger is coming. It is preparing you to give you an escape. So here, what we have to understand is the blood volume in brain is fixed. So if the fear-creating structure is taking all the blood, then your other structures, which gives you confidence, which gives you that empowerment, which makes you remember the successful times, all that is drained totally. They do not fire. The neurons there doesn't fire. You are stuck with the scenario of you failing and people not appreciating and that embarrassment. You get paralyzed on that.
And your
Okay.
cells are wanting to puke. I think that's what I'm
Yeah.
going to remember from you for
Yes,
now.
totally. You're setting up for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, to this, the one way to change is we need to invoke structures of the brain which will take blood away from this amygdala, thereby reducing the power of amygdala. And that can be as simple as direct body sensations. So if you start to feel your feet on the floor, or you just really focus on some other music coming, just listen to it. We do not want stories. Stories is where amygdala thrive. Amygdala quickly say, okay, I will miss this, I will make a mess of the show, I will lose the job. It will quickly develop that story. So we want the non-storied, simple experiencing capacity of the brain, which can be, if you're walking, just feel the footsteps, floor, movement, touch, floor, movement, touch. Or you can do something else, even just namaste, and just focus on just feeling the sense of touch. And if you need some movement, okay, you're doing this namaste in different forms, so that you get distracted. You distract, meaning you pull away blood from that story and fear creating structure of amygdala and into simple, giving you the experience of simple touch. So
it's interesting that you say about the walking.
Yeah.
Because this is something that I tell my students is create a different narrative.
Yes.
So you create the story so that there isn't a negative one that you're allowing to come. So something as simple in our industry as counting the number of steps it takes to get to your chair.
Yeah.
So you know that might be 37.
Yeah.
Because you've worked it out, and it's about that preparation.
Yes.
So something as simple as just getting to 34, 35.
Yes.
You've quietened that negative talk already.
Yes, definitely. Quietening happens not by fighting it directly. That won't help. So you're simply focusing on something else, which is going to be tough. It will try to draw you back. So counting steps, and you can even link like 2 steps for one inhale, 2 steps for one exhale, like that, more and more layering, so that you're pulling more and more blood off that structure, shutting off the oxygen glucose supply to this fear creating structure. So then it becomes quiet, and once you get that power back, then you can, like you said, you can envisage a different scenario. You just create that, and for that we also talk about this line. So you have the solar plexus and all that. So that is rightly named. It's under this sternum area. So we call it in terms of like a Manipura Chakra. So Manipura Chakra, actually, Mani means a jewel. So here you have an energy center, which is actually creating you in all your unique way. Like you are a place of like jewels in your capacities. But when we feel fear, we don't feel radiant enough. That's not a problem with you, Sonia. You always like, you have to control it. But in case these inner narratives is starting to see us failing, uh, this will go in. We will drop it. We can't say like, well, I'm feeling very scared and worried. We won't talk like that. You know,
Yes.
this
I
will go
remember
in.
during one class during mat practice, there was something a little more challenging for me. And I remember I just sat in the corner and the performer in me was disappointed. I remember this.
Yes.
And I was slumped.
Yeah.
And you said, sternum up, Sonia. You look like the child who did not get the ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That quickly go down. Yeah, that's true. I now remember that too. So simple things like open, and we do something like this position, and just open.
Mm,
So take a nice inhale, lift this area, and mentally you can even say, "I can." Okay, so
mm,
whatever it is, I can, and then exhale, just lifting, nice inhale, open up this whole area, and really saying, I can. So it is when we think that I can't, that light in you actually starts to dim. So we have to work on countering that. So that
mm,
all will give you that good kind of energy support for you. And
mm.
even like sitting, if you're sitting, ground well through the sit bones, ground well through the
Yeah.
feet, because you want that good support. We don't want to be supported by fear and like
Yeah.
unsteadiness.
So this is almost like we're setting the stage. We're setting the
Exactly.
scene. We're making sure that it's the correct curtain.
Correct.
The stage is clear, and then we're
Yes.
ready to
Yes.
go. So
The
then
good.
on top of that, that's where we add on the thoughts of pranayama.
Yes. Yes. So pranayama, the term prana means life energy.
Mm,
And ayama means like expand or control. So um, should there is pranayama. I mean, there's prana in every living being. That's what keeps us alive. But we specifically talk about prana as a particular energy in that rib cage area. What it does is it can draw in the life force from air, from food, from even whatever your experience. It can draw in life into you and enliven your organism.
mm,
So prana is that which is in you, which can draw in even more life and spread and enliven you. So specifically, when we talk about breathing, when you inhale, the prana in you will extract. It's not just oxygen, but for the time being, I will say oxygen. It's the
yeah.
one which extracts that oxygen and then spreads it to all the cells to enliven. So life takes kind of draws in life energy so that it can be more radiant. And this, though we specifically talk about breathing, it applies to even food and all that. So we say like if it's frozen food for a long time and you're reheating, we say the prana in it is gone.
Mm,
So even
mm,
if you eat it, we can't extract that life energy.
mm,
So
mm,
specific to this particular thing, pranayama is a breathing practice
mm,
where by regulating the breath we actually get more energy. Okay,
mm.
so that is the whole direction of pranayama.
Yes. I remember when I was doing the daily training with you a few years
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
where it was essential that we began our practice. I'm sure it wasn't 10, I'm sure it was 20 minutes of
yeah.
breath practice.
Yes,
And it
yes,
was astounding the difference that made then in the mat practice.
yes,
And I equate that also into our physical practice
yes,
because playing music is also quite physical. You're training the
definitely,
anatomy very specifically.
definitely.
So, something I would do when I go to workshops or different education, gatherings, I will often see that the students are already nervous just to see me walk into the room.
Correct,
So the
correct.
first thing we do actually is some of these expansions, and you
Yes,
can feel that the entire energy in the room just settles.
Yes.
And that calmness puts our brain, well, I know it's written popularly, it puts our brain into an alpha state where we can absorb and process information, we can focus, we can perform better without any distraction. So
Yes.
I think one of the easiest exercises that you taught, and we do it regularly, is the alternate nostril breathing.
Yes.
And any students I've found of any age can do that. And I've even trained them, okay, you do it with your peers. I remember I was over in Miri and we'd had a week together, and the 5 or 6, I call them puppies, but they were gathered around. Miss Sonia, we're nervous. We didn't expect to be. I said, breathing, let's go. So we're
Yeah.
standing backstage doing that. So I would love it if you could share that for us now, just a little bit about alternate nostril breathing,
Sure.
why we separate the sides,
Yeah.
what effect that has, how to do it. Yeah, I think coming from you will be even better than coming from me.
It's great that you are taking these teachings and applying it into different people, because everybody can benefit from it. So it's
Mm,
wonderful that you're doing it. And you are saying the right things. Like in terms of breathing, many people equate breathing with just the nose.
mm,
So deep breath means something they do with the nose, and that is not a skillful strategy. So breathing is movement, and the passage of the air is due to pressure variances. If you want a good breath, your abdomen, your pelvic floor, and your ribs should be able to move really nicely. So just now, Sonia, you were showing that people are nervous, and you did something like that. First thing you want is for them to take deep breath, but that movement is what sets a good breath. So they should be able to expand the rib cage. They should be able to work on the belly, like they should be able to move the belly well, and they should have a reasonable connection with the pelvic floor. So all these things will contribute towards a good breath, because otherwise deep inhale, I've seen many people putting an effort with the nose. Yeah, so that doesn't equate. So good breathing, if they are sitting and just trying to, that won't help. So we need to link it well. So good inhalation, meaning expanding of either abdominal area or rib area or both. Good long exhalation means a deflation of this area and abdomen going in. So that we have to remember. Now, when it comes to specifically the alternate nostril breathing, the philosophy behind is twofold. One is this context of duality.
mm,
So our mind tends to get panicked about two extremes all the time. So will I be able to do it well and succeed, or will I not do and mess up? So success and failure, fame and shame, good and bad, you or me, all these things we keep moving about, and
mm.
that affects our breathing as well. It shifts from nostril to nostril to nostril to nostril, and that keeps us internally almost tired with all these shifts. We are not
Mm.
able to ground. So this
That's
particular
interesting
breathing,
what you say. Sorry to interrupt you, please.
no problem.
It's interesting because I think most people just imagine that we're breathing through both nostrils all the time.
Yes,
So I just
yes,
wanted to draw people's attention to what you've just said, which is when we're
true.
swinging between the duality, we're actually
Yes,
changing from this side to this side.
yes,
That's
yeah,
fascinating point. Yeah.
yes, yes, very much. So it's
Mm.
like you can always explore. You can put a thumb under the nostril opening, and just as you exhale, you just see which side gives you more sensation.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can sense that one side is more dominant,
Mm.
and sometimes that side might not be helping you in what you're trying to do. So um, in any case, we actually want to be centered, okay, in between all these possibilities. Right now you have only this moment. Success and failure comes later. Do not get lost into those two things.
Mm.
Right now I am there, my talent is there, all my practice is right behind me, and just that, zone into that. Okay, so that you can help by alternate nostril breathing. So the finger positioning is the left hand, it is like your thumb and index finger closest. So it all has meanings. The index finger represents the finger of ego. So if I'm saying, like if I'm putting an accusing finger, I will point this. And if I think I am being accused, I'll say, who, me? Are you talking to me? Like that kind of thing. So this finger is like that thing. And that's the same finger which is scared right now, whether it'll lose its face, whether like that thing. So the thumb actually stays apart from the other four fingers. So the thumb represents that silent presence in us. And you are kind of surrendering this into that thumb, into that witnessing kind of capacity in you. So just calmness. So we do not want it to tie up with other ones, just here. So that is the indication. So all these in yoga, we are also calling it energy loops. This all affects our psyche. Okay, so that is the energy kind of a loop. The right hand is also same, the thumb, index, and middle finger. So then you're just using the right hand for manipulating the flow. So we start by closing the right nose with the right thumb. Then we breathe in through the left, and then you close that nose, left nose, with the right hand's ring finger, and exhale through the other side. So you inhale through the left, close, exhale through the right. Then inhale through the right, close, exhale through the left. So this kind of draws one energy and offers it to the other opposite kind of energy. Then you draw that energy and offers it here. So that kind of neutralizes these forces which are pulling us to both sides. They kind of neutralize, and then you are right here centered. Okay, and then there are ratios. So we generally go in a 1:2 ratio. So what you inhale, that length you try to exhale double. So through that exhalation physiologically is a release of gaseous waste. What is toxic to you, it is releasing. So the same thing, you can link the psychological kind of toxins. So as you're exhaling, you're mentally saying, may all the unwholesome stuff in my mind, may that also go out. So it can be fear, it can be anxiety. You're saying anxiety, fear, I'm releasing you. And each inhale, whatever quality you want, each inhale, courage, confidence. You can say whatever, because all your cells are always listening to your thoughts. Okay, so like unconsciously, we might be saying, oh, I'm scared, I don't think I can do it. And then the cells convert that into biology. So it is just vocabulary, but it quickly changes into biology because they are listening. So you have to be very careful of the words which you think you're even jokingly saying or acting modest. It doesn't help you.
And it's interesting that the mind's voice is heard by the brain the same way that our voice is heard. I remember that was quite profound once. We did a class on that in my training with you. And it is fascinating. I think for musicians, we often hear music in our head. So again, I translate that philosophy of, if you're hearing the sound that you want to create in your head, your cells are imagining that, and you will create that. It will manifest.
Exactly.
Yeah. So quietening that speak as well as creating the music is super important.
Creating. Another experience I remember with you was like, I mean, this is in terms of you remembering somebody telling you you are good. So for example, from a stage performance thing, if you start to lose the confidence in yourself, then it's nice to remember at one point, maybe a senior or maybe somebody in the audience told you, hey, you touched me. That was beautiful. Just listen to that. Replay that a few times. Your biochemistry will change. So what I remember is we had one student, a very nice guy, who always had he doesn't do much in terms of spectacular movements, kind of jazz. And this particular day, he was coming to class after suffering some kind of disappointment. So the moment he stepped in, I can see his low, and that beaming kind of cheerful countenance was gone.
Yes, and
So
I was always astounded at him because he needed a lot of props
yes,
to be
yes,
able to do
exactly,
things.
exactly,
There was
exactly.
barely anything he could do without the props.
Yes.
And we also connected because he uses music for therapy. I know exactly who
Oh
you're
yeah, yeah,
talking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
that's what I think. Yeah.
Yes. So that day, Sonia, you came and told me that you like that guy's energy. Okay. And then I told you, you have to go and tell him this and make sure you stay with him for at least 20 seconds. Because our brain somehow for that survival, it quickly takes like even a fraction of a second of a dissonant note, like somebody talking to you, and that it really picks in so fast into the depth of our being. Even a derogatory glance is enough. We will really take it
And
in.
it goes on to replay,
Yes,
replay.
yes, it just doesn't stop. But any good kind of feeling, it doesn't go in so well, so fast. So some neurological studies saying that we have to stay with that great good feeling deliberately for more than 20 seconds before it starts to get converted into some kind of biological response in the body where you create a change. So I told you to go and tell him that you really like the way he does the practice, his face, the way he keeps the heart open. And you told me like at first he was looking at you skeptically, and then as you kept with it, he started to ask you, really? Oh, okay. And he slowly started to change. And then he got up from the mat, and as he was walking out, I was just watching him. He's totally different. He had that zip in his steps back. So exactly that. You have to, before performance, connect, feed yourselves with all these great reinforcements, wonderful memories, good grounding, a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing. And whatever happens, don't let your solar plexus close. Keep it open and do some things to again open, and then you're set.
Yeah, this is just so wonderful. It's like a refresher course
Yes,
for
yeah,
me
we have
too.
to do,
It's
yeah,
like you've just given me a very intense summary that I
yeah,
can carry away
yes,
when we're next on stage. My goodness me, I hope that's not too long in the
yes.
future.
That's why,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So it's been so wonderful. We've actually been chatting for half an hour already. Can you
What is it?
believe it?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I know it's amazing.
Yeah.
So actually, I just started to say a little bit about what we're experiencing at the moment. We're all, I like to say, physically separated. I don't like the word social isolation.
Yeah.
It's not, it's
Yes.
physical.
That's right.
So maybe you could just tell the people who are listening a little bit about what this time of the movement control order has meant for you and your regular practice. I know that I've been enjoying weekly, once a day, every week. No, every week, once a day. That's the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
around.
yeah, 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 exactly.
I heard
You're
myself back.
doing every day, once a day.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Daily yoga practice. That would be more
Yes.
simple, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So you're still managing to continue. I know Zoom is a challenge, but your school is still continuing with those classes. And
Yes.
what else are you also doing with the Manasa school, Manoj?
Yes. We are offering 2 classes per day. Then we also do a philosophy lecture series on every Monday and Thursday, 8:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Mm.
Because Sonia, you enrich your math practice with all this philosophy and
Yes.
anatomy teachings which you have.
Oh, I think we're losing
Yeah.
the connection a little bit there, Manoj. It seems to be breaking a little bit. So I'll just talk a little bit until it comes back. The philosophy practice is what I carry most with me because people think
Yeah,
yoga
little
practice
bit of
is
unstable.
the mat.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But yoga is actually all the time. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So you're doing that, and I know that you're still managing
yes,
to do your teacher training course. as well, which I
Yes.
think is an amazing achievement
Yes.
over Zoom. And I know when I'm there in Zoom, I'm fully participating because I know you go to your big TV screen and you
Yes.
look at each one of us. I still
Yes.
remember 2 days ago, come on, Sonia, try harder, lift.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's
Yeah.
watching me.
True.
Yeah.
Because I'm lucky to have my wife Sandhya at home. So she also is the founder of the same style I'm teaching, Manasa Yoga. So she demonstrates. So then I don't have to demonstrate. So I am just looking at students very closely and can give feedback. Yeah.
I know Henrik was listening. He was doing something just in the next room
Yeah.
and he heard you talking
Yeah.
to me and he went,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So you just mentioned your wife, Sandhya. She came to Malaysia with you. And I remember at that time, I think maybe she was just pregnant with your first child.
Yes. Yes.
So you also have a son and a daughter. And Sid is now how old, Manoj?
Sid is now 18 going into 19.
Wow. And he's just, I remember you said that no, I witnessed, I'd seen that as he was younger, a younger teen, he was winning yoga competitions,
Yes.
but now he's doing a lot of dance and movement,
Yes.
and he's
Yes.
won some modeling awards.
Yes. He is now in that kind of direction. So he did the movement aspects of yoga when he was much younger, and philosophy not in a formal way, but I don't know of anything else much. So, like other than the philosophy and the yoga. So, if somebody is talking to me more than 5 minutes, then the philosophy and all that starts to come.
I know
so.
it's together, isn't it?
Yeah, so Siddharth picks up from that kind of stuff. So he is quite adept in that practical kind of philosophy. And he was into yoga, and then he got actually quite active in the basketball field because he suddenly got tall and he was getting great success in basketball college team. And suddenly he had a terrible knee ankle injury, which for 1.5 years he got out of the team and he was struggling. So the philosophy really helped him. And then he channeled that into this dancing and modeling. And now he's doing well in that, and he's keeping himself in that kind of empowered kind of way. Yeah.
And he seems to get along quite well with Shivani, his little sister. I see them doing things on TikTok together.
Yes. They are very happy with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the influence of your anatomy and philosophical understanding, and also Sandhya moves so beautifully with her Odyssey, with her classical Indian dance as well. So it's really quite a fascinating family. And I'm so blessed to know you, and I'm sure the talk today will help bless everyone who's going to tune in. And hopefully, if people enjoy what we've been talking about, maybe they can show some interest. They can get in touch with me and we can maybe work on some specific breathing or performance classes. Who knows what we can do in the future.
Yeah, that'll be great.
But I know that it's always fascinating for you to hear how I apply them across industry.
Yes.
And actually, the way that you direct things is very similar to a conductor instructing us. I remember I've brought some of my students as a group to the class, and you always say you love it when musicians are there because we follow instructions.
Yes.
We focus on the mat.
True.
We're not looking around.
True.
So I think the internet is telling us that we have to stop now, Manoj. I'm so sorry about that.
It's really enjoyable. Time flew. Really, thank you. For this.
Thank you. Bless you. And I'll see you at the 5 p.m. class.
Great. And thank you to you and all the listeners. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.